a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. Big party spot. Brian's been there now. He can attest to some of the things that go on there, and it can get pretty wild, right? I myself was not so great at approaching or talking to pretty much any woman, anything. My first story of actually going out and doing pickup was with Artisan. We went out to a strip club. My first game was strip club game. Like, hey, pick up this stripper who works for money gaming you. Her job's to game you. And that was my first set of approaches, really. And so, literally in I think 2 hours that night, I did not get approached once by a stripper. A stripper would not even come up to me and say, hey, you want to dance? Anything? I got nothing. Literally, the stripper wouldn't even approach me. So it's like the anti-magnet of women at the time, right? And so, like in that night, I did 2 of my own approaches. I approached 2 strippers, and it really didn't go anywhere. The conversations were maybe a couple minutes long at the most. And I ended up spending most of my time just sitting with another student and eating at the free buffet, which was delightful. Sandwiches and pizza at a strip club, yum, right? And so we went out to another club that same night, another late after hours club. It was more of a nightclub. And same thing, did maybe 1 or 2 approaches, and at that point just almost totally deflated. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't care to check to the next girl. I pretty much just hung out with the other student, and we, chode it out and just held our drinks, and we're like, cool, it's all good, right? So that's where I started. It's been a couple years now. It's been about 3 years now. I'm obviously traveling with Artisan as a trainer, and it takes a lot of time, right? I can't offer you a quick fix. There's no magic bullet. I can't give you like, hey, this is the advice, bro. I'll just go out and do this one thing. Chicks are yours, done. If I could, I would sell it for a lot of money. But we can't. So my first point is you have to put in some work. You're gonna have to put in a little work, all right? So with that, let me check my notes because I have to check my notes. And so, who here is a keyboard jockey? Do you know what a keyboard jockey is? Anyone? So it's someone who reads lots and lots of material, but they never actually go out. They never actually go out and try to apply it. So who here right now would be a keyboard jockey who just kind of reads and hasn't really been out in the field or outside into a bar or club? So a lot of you guys go out. That's great. That's the first step. Because if you don't go out, you won't learn anything. 0. A book can only tell you so much. So
wait, the rest of you guys are going out regularly 2, 3, 4 days a week practicing this stuff?
No.
So yeah, it's like, no, maybe, no.
I think what happens, if I can clarify, is that you go out and you don't have any curves, you have a couple of lines, then it all just disappears into a blur,
So basically what you're saying is you get smashed, and then you try to do some pickup. So I know this is Ireland, please don't kill me for this, but drinking when you go out is not the best idea. And here's basically why. You go out, you get drunk, you might actually pick up a girl because you have 0 approach anxiety at that point. You're just going crazy, and maybe she's drunk too. The problem is you don't really actually learn anything, right? When you go home, you wake up in the morning next to some chick, you basically go, how did this happen? Then you didn't learn anything, right? You didn't learn anything. You can practice drunken game, right? Drunken game. I see all the girls laughing when I say drunken game. It's like, yeah, there's a little joke in Australia. Right. There's a joke in Australia. The guys there just get really drunk and they just lean into the girl and they call it the Aussie lean. She basically just fall on top of her eventually, right? Is there an Irish version of that? I love this. She's just like, yeah, I think so, right? So a lot of that's due to approach anxiety, right? You're drinking, you're trying to dim that approach anxiety, correct? You don't really feel approach anxiety when you've been drinking or you're drunk. Agree? Yeah. So what are some other ways instead of drinking that we can deal with approach anxiety? Anyone? So we call it warming up. It's a tactic called warming up, right? Because when you go into the bar or you're out in the day, you've never really talked to anybody. You don't just walk up to random strangers and just talk, right? Normally. It's not social conditioning. It's more social conditioning to go walk around and not talk to anybody and just be yourself, right? But that doesn't really help you meet people, right? That's what we're trying to do, is either find our true love or some girl we want to share some experience with in some form or another. It might just be, one night stand. It might just be a long-term relationship. You never know, right? So warming up. So how can we warm up and get into a more social state when we go out? Before we really approach all these women or put that pressure on ourselves to approach. Well, in the daytime, we can keep it really simple. We have two ways that we do it. We call it comments and questions. Comments and questions. So a question could be anything like, hey, do you know where the nearest Starbucks is? A question would be like, cool hair. Man, I really like your hat. Anything like that. Something to get you just a little bit more social. Maybe even that's too much, and you start just by walking towards the girl that you're interested in. Maybe just walk towards her, try to make eye contact. Take it in the smallest step you can, right? For some guys, that's too hard. So we do progressive desensitization, right? So progressively, you get more in state, more working towards that girl, okay? It's that social vibe, the social state. Have you guys ever heard of state? Any of you guys who study pickup? State, so being in a state. So there's different types of states too, right? We just want to be in one that keeps us more socially open, that lets us access all of our cool little funny lines that we have, and let us really be ourselves. We're just trying to be a better version of ourselves, or ourselves magnified, right? So that's what we're going for. So warming up in the daytime is simple. Comments, questions. Easy peasy, right? So maybe what's a way we could do that at night? What's like maybe a cool comment or something we could talk to, a question or a comment we can give a girl at night to warm up? The classic high five. A random high five is always good.
One that always worked for me is the cheers and ting your glasses to her.
Cheers.
That's just great.
That's a great one, right?
Or
That actually,
you don't even say cheers, just ting your glass and look into her eye.
Exactly. Right? That could be your full opener, right? That doesn't even have to be just a warm up. Anything else? Hey, real quick, what's this song? Can you tell me where the toilet is? The best advice I can give you at night is definitely to talk to the very first person you see, whether it be a girl or a guy or a bartender or a bouncer, anyone. Talk to that person immediately. Immediately. Start chatting it up. If it's a guy, talk about guy things. If it's a girl, talk about whatever you want. As long as you can. You're just trying to condition yourself to be more social in that environment, right? Cool? Anything you guys want to add to that? Maybe you guys have some more. Nope. Nothing. That's cool. I'll give you some more. All right, so let's say you're not in state yet. You're not in state. You're not ready to talk. Maybe you haven't did your 5 comments like, hey, that's cool, or your 5, hey, where's Starbucks at? Or what's the name of the song? Maybe you're just not ready yet. That should not be an excuse, right? We have a rule. It's a very simple rule with an awesome acronym. The acronym is ASS, right? ASS. Always say something. You should always say something. If you have nothing, you should always say something. I literally picked up my last girlfriend with a 9-month relationship of, hey, real quick, you should try that sandwich. That was my opener. That was it, right? And then we ended up chatting. She actually said, I don't like that sandwich, and walked away, right? And she went and ordered and came back and talked to me. And that was the beginning of it, right? So it doesn't always have to be some like super clever, 5-minute opener like, hey, do you like horses? For anybody who likes that one's terrible. That's a great one, man.
It's like an inside joke.
Yeah, it's who knows the horse girl opener? Does anyone know the full horse girl opener? Like 2 guys know the full horse girl? Yeah, if you don't even bother looking it up, it's a really long, terrible opener. And girls usually just end up going, huh? It's not very good. So what are some of the other ways we can get into state? There are a few others. Other ways. Listen to music. So here's a great one for music. So did any of you guys go to the gym? Work out a little bit? So for you guys to go to the gym or work out or any physical activity, it gets you pumped up, anything like that, puts you in a state by itself. You should actually listen to the music of the club that you go out to. So if you go to an Irish club that plays Irish music, listen to Irish music while you work out. It's creating an anchor, what we call an anchor in NLP, right? So say you're going to a nightclub that plays all American pop music or American club music, listen to that while you work out. And then when you go in there, you go, oh yeah, I remember this song, I was working out and everything was going good, and it helps you boost your state automatically, right? That's one way. Another way you would think wouldn't boost your state was actually meditation. Meditation is actually really, really good. I'm currently doing 20 minutes a night. 20 minutes a night of meditation before I go out. And I can definitely tell the difference between meditating and going out and just going out. It's a big difference, right? So you guys should look into doing just some breathing meditation. It's really helpful in getting present. And so what are some other ways? Any other ways you guys can think of maybe? Get in the state, feel more social.
Jump up and down.
Jump up and down. How about dance? How about dance like no one's watching? Just totally get down. I wish we had some music here, but we don't. I'd make you guys totally get crazy. And just be free, because here's the difference. Especially guys with anxiety feel like they're being watched all the time, like someone's judging them. But the truth is, most of the time no one's really watching. And even when they are, does it really matter if they're watching, right? Are they really judging you? Probably not. This is going super crazy. And then they're probably just like, that dude's drunk. And that's probably it. In Ireland, they're probably like, oh, that guy's just hanging out, all right. But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. So let's try to think of like a frame, a good frame for picking up. You guys know what a frame is? It's kind of like a mindset or a concept, right? A good frame for picking up is, and a lot of guys will tell you this, is not caring about what anybody thinks about you. Don't care. Don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone sees me dancing and I'm doing some crazy stuff and they're like, ha ha, ha, that dude's gay, and drink some drink. Because chances are he's probably just drinking a drink by himself or with his buddies, and he hasn't approached any girls. So don't ever get it in your head that someone's watching and that someone cares about what you're doing. Only worry about yourself. You only need to worry about your actions and what you're doing to forward your chances with whatever girl or whatever goals you have in mind, right? Now, another thing I see a lot of guys do is they go out kind of aimlessly. So they get in the state and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I just talked to a girl. And they don't really have any direction, right? They're not really practicing anything. They're just going out and talking to girls, which is great. It's great to get over anxiety. Obviously, the more you try, the more odds you are at finding a girl, right? Sheer odds, sheer approaching will get you more girls than what you probably have now. If you approached 100 girls right now and you said the dumbest things you've ever said in your life, you will probably find 1 or 2 girls that's like, all right, seems kind of interesting. It's definitely not like normal guys. He's definitely set himself out from the rest of the other guys, right? That's what, a big thing about day game is it sets you apart from many other guys, right? There's 2 girls in the room, and I'll ask both of you, how many times have you guys been approached by a guy who says you're cute or gives you a compliment during the day?
Here, never, but when I was in the US, it's more regular.
It's more regular in the US?
More compliment.
Like how many times in the US? Roughly. Estimate.
Not very often. It was like one day I was driving up the lights, and this guy shouts out the window, hey, you're cute, can I have your number or whatever, and I pulled in and I chatted with him, and I didn't stop my first minute.
Okay.
Just because it was so unique.
Exactly.
Because nobody ever did that before. Just go along with it.
Right.
Yeah, she had a few too.
Because nobody ever approaches you. If you do something different, you're like, oh, okay.
That's cool. So a few times in like your entire life, you've been, let's say 4?
Yeah.
Like 4 times, maybe 4 times each their entire life. You know the average guy approaches women sober in his entire life, his total number of approaches in his entire life sober, and his entire life span, not just like what age you guys are right now, like until he dies. Like four sober approaches in their entire life. So it sets you totally apart to approach during the day, right? Totally different, right? So we talked a little bit about state, how to get in state with comments and questions. We've talked about a couple things about how to get in state at the bar really quickly. Just talking to that first person you see, chatting them up, and moving on. You can always move on to the next person. You can always reopen too. So if you talk to a person at the bar, and you're like, everything went kind of good, and you walk away, and you're like, I'm out of things to say, what do I do? Just be like, hey, well look, I gotta catch up with my friends. Talk to the next person. You can always go back if the interaction was at least decent. You can always go back, right? Don't freak out and be like, oh, I already talked to her once and I can't talk to her again. Of course you can talk to her again. She might have liked you. She might have wanted you to stay, right? So don't freak out about that. It's no big deal. And so the last thing I want to talk about, since we've talked about state so much, is what we call state dependency. State dependency. So that's when you could only approach in states, or you're not in state enough so you can't do it yet. Okay, we talked just a second about that. It should never be an excuse. But we're actually going to teach you another way other than just being in state, that you can get totally within yourself within maybe 5-10 seconds, so you don't have to rely on that state. So even if you can't get in state at that time, you'll still have a tool to help you approach, to deal with that anxiety, right? And so we're going to teach you guys that. I believe that's a boot camp, right? So that's one of the things we teach on boot camp, right? So you don't have to always be in state. You don't always have to be in state, okay? So with that being said, I think I'm going to hand it on over to my buddy here.
All right.
Mr. Matthew Artisan, ladies and gentlemen.